My next guest also traveled to the southern border this week to see the crisis firsthand. Joining me now, Texas Congressman on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and Border Security Caucus, Co-Chairman Brian Babin. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. You know, I think that video of those two little girls being thrown over the wall was so upsetting to so many Americans. And everyone, including the White House, has made comments. But this made me wonder what we're not seeing at the border. We have video of this. We have reporters going down to the border. Maria Bartiromo down at the border. That we can show. But what about what we can't show Americans?
What you can't show Americans is the unbelievable humanitarian crisis that's going on down there. You got a glimpse of it when those two little girls were tossed over a 14-foot-high fence, and then the two cartel coyotes run away in the background after tossing their shoes behind them. It is seeing things like this that I think should be opening the eyes of America to what is happening down there. This isn't a challenge. It's an all-out assault. It's open borders. It's an enabling of the cartels. It is Joe Biden's and the Democrat Party's open borders policies. They did away with some great policies of the Trump administration. He certainly had a crisis on his hands in 2019, but he solved pretty much more than any presidency I've seen before. He solved those with programs like Remain in Mexico, with the Title 42 public health restrictions, especially during this pandemic. It was very effective. And you know, I appreciate Joe Manchin coming down and taking a look at the problem. I appreciate his moderate position on it. But then when you start talking about pathway to citizenship, you're just turning the green light on again. That is the only thing that's going to do. We have to stop this border surge. We have to, regain control of it and wrest it out of the hands of the drug cartels. It is an unmitigated disaster, humanitarian-wise, and national security, public health, you name it.
Well, and these smugglers are obviously using these migrants, these children, as a diversion to get drugs in other places. And we should also mention that the Biden administration stopped building the wall immediately. I want to ask you about this new report about these stash houses in Texas. It says since October, agents have increased busts on these stash houses by 400% compared to a year ago. And in particular, they're pointing to some busts that happened in Laredo, Texas. What do you know about that?
Well, we know that the drug cartels are running human traffic through our border, which fills up our facilities, formerly called cages when President Trump was in office. And these facilities are overrun. And then trying to take care, especially of thousands. We have probably 16,000 plus unaccompanied minors that are have to be cared for, and so they pull these Border Patrol agents off the line, and so the cartels run the drugs through, and this is where this is happening. We visited with the Drug Enforcement Administration, the U.S. Coast Guard, and several other enforcement agencies, state and federal, and I can tell you that drugs are pouring across our border during this time of the border crisis. The cartels have exploited this to the max. There are drugs. They kill 70,000 plus Americans every single year. It isn't a war, and we absolutely are losing this war, and the American people need to be told the truth about how this is happening, and we need to reverse these policies of President Biden and his administration. And let's get the vice president down there. We invited her to come meet us at some points of our trip on our itinerary. We heard nothing back.
She hasn't, even though she's been put in charge, she hasn't come. If I was going to be the CEO of a company, the first place I'd go was the factory. That's just me. I want to move on to infrastructure with you. Yeah. So all this spending that we're talking about here, the president unveiled that infrastructure plan on Wednesday. It's a $2 trillion package. They want to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%, a 21% global minimum tax to help cover the cost of it. What is the response in Washington to these proposed tax hikes? They are, to use this word again, overwhelming, in my opinion, and anti-business. But, being in the minority, what can Republicans do, Congressman?
If they do this on reconciliation, there's probably not a whole lot that we can do to stop it. But we will fight this till the cows come home. This is just another tax and spend boondoggle from the Democrat Party. They talk big. They call it names that sound great. This is supposed to be an infrastructure bill. I serve on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. I'm all for infrastructure. I represent an enormous a district it's so key to the nation's energy supplies down in my district here in 36 of Texas. But this has very little to do with infrastructure. There is some infrastructure provisions, infrastructure provisions in here that I think would be good, but there's so much more that I believe are going to hinder and hurt the American consumer, the American taxpayer. Prices are going up. We've already seen energy prices escalate, since Biden has gotten in. The lack of permitting on public lands, the repression of and continued, plans to do away with fossil fuels and to implement these Green New Deal policies. They're going to kill Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, North Dakota. There's so many states that rely on fossil fuel industry for jobs and revenues. This will be a very bad thing for the American people in the long run. And I hope that they're as skeptical as I am. And I'll tell you, a lot of my colleagues are as well.
Yeah, well, we know that the fight is going to continue for months, Congressman, and you're right about it being a job killer in your district, in particular with the energy industry. Congressman Brian Babin. Congressman, it's great to have you on this morning.
Always good, Cheryl. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. You as well.